Hello and welcome back to the Villa View for another match preview ahead of tomorrow's massive championship game as Wolves head to Villa Park. So tonight I'm joined by fan cam standing and tonight preview standing Max Roberts. How you doing, Max?
I'm doing good. I'm holding up. I'm surviving.
Obviously Wolves tomorrow night, Saturday evening kick-off. Just what are your thoughts on the game generally to start with?
Well, you look at the whole build-up, and on one side, and it's definitely not the side of D6, it's been massively hyped up. It's been made out to be their massive cup final. And let's be honest, the pressure is on them. The pressure's on this form. I don't think, personally, I don't think we'll get anything out of the game. I think they're too stacked quality-wise. I mean, we've got a lot of quality from the bench, but don't get me wrong, when they can take off Ruben Neves and bring on Helder Costa, who caused a lot of problems last year at home, that's when you know we've kind of met our match. I think if we really turn it on and we really put a performance in, we can match them, we can probably beat them. But I think the emphasis is on them. All their fans want to beat us for some unbeknown reason. And all of our fans just want to silence them. So whatever happens, it is going to be a really good game for us.
There was a guy on Facebook who was saying, a Villa fan who was talking about that Wolves haven't played in front of a crowd as big as ours yet and that might make them crumble. Is that something that you could possibly see?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think it will be weird for them to actually see people in seats for once. But yeah, I do think that. I mean, you go to Leeds and that club's falling apart, and I think you wouldn't see as many people as you probably would have last year at Leeds. And again, no real disrespect to the clubs except Birmingham City and Sunderland in this league. Wherever you go in this league, the atmospheres are going to be okay, but there's going to be a lot of empty seats. But Villa is kind of like the one ground you can rely on having 32,000 week in, week out. And I think if we go ahead early, I think their fans will get on their back, and our fans will get on their back as well. I think we'll get behind the team and we'll will the ball into the net. That's how we will score. We'll will the ball into the net from the support. But I think the crowd pressure, it's going to go one of two ways. They're going to score early and we're going to get deflated, or we're going to score early and they're going to get deflated and they're going to get pretty peeved off really quickly. But the first goal is going to be crucial tomorrow to decide that. I think we've got the firepower to get the early goal. But then I think they're a lot more comfortable on the ball. I think they take a lot more time on the ball than us. So, and again, it really depends on who we're playing up front. If we're going to play Graben or Hogan or both of them together again to decide the style of play. But yeah, I do agree with that point. I think either for either team, it's going to be a hot atmosphere, shall we say. So
just looking back at the last 5 fixtures, we are the form team going into this game tomorrow night, which, you know, when you play a team top of the league, you usually expect them to be the form side. How do you think that dynamic will affect the game, that top of the league isn't the team in form for this game?
I think over the past few games, Wolves have kind of been in a default position. Don't get me wrong, they do deserve to be top of the league, the football they're playing. And this is probably something we'll touch on later about the whole supporter thing. I personally don't have a problem with Wolves. I completely agree that they should be top of the league. Yeah. The football has been really good from them. They've got a proper atmosphere, proper team spirit. Nuno's a really good coach. He's a really great coach, and I think that's the thing for a manager. He can be a manager, but he has to be a coach as well. So, but yeah, I don't think they'll be thinking too much into it, but I think that will give us a lot of reason to think we can go out on that pitch and take something. I think if we were going to play them at a time, I think this will be the best time to play them. Obviously, the beat Leeds in midweek, but looking at Leeds at the moment, I think anyone could probably go there and win. I think they're looking really shock confidence. Yeah. But yeah, I think that we are playing at the perfect time, if there is a perfect time to play in this season.
One thing I want to touch on very briefly from our point of view is this whole thing with George Mendes and this investigation with clubs looking into their transfer dealings and all this sort of thing. I was listening to Steve Bruce's press conference earlier, and one of the journalists asked him about what he thought about that sort of thing, and he just basically said, I'm here to focus on how we can beat Wolves. I don't really care about what's going on off the pitch. They've got some great players, but how they got those players is none of my business. And I sort of tend to feel the same way. Yes, they've got some great players. If there's this investigation to be taking place, then it's not going to affect this game or this season, you wouldn't have thought. But would the players or maybe the fans from their side have that in the back of their mind?
From what I've seen and very little I have read, it doesn't seem like he's done anything wrong. I mean, if someone like George Mendes, with the power of George Mendes, if he comes in and says, "I want to help your club out," no club in their right mind would say no. Do you know what I mean? And if he's going to use his links and use whatever he's got available to him, he's going to use it, and he's going to use it within reason. And to be fair, they've found a loophole and they're using it. So either you can't knock them, because they're trying to get the best advantage they can in the league legally. And they're doing it. So I don't think that's Villa's problem. I don't think it's Cardiff's problem. I don't think it's Fulham's problem. I think it's EFL's problem. And I think if they did have reasonable suspicion to think something dodgy was going on, they would have done it a long time ago. I think it's only because Villa, Cardiff and all the teams around us have seen we could probably, mess them up a little bit here, or throw them off, or throw the mentality of the team off by thinking. I mean, if you were playing that team, you didn't know much about it, or you were these people like Jota. I think he brought Jota in. You probably would think, oh, maybe was there something wrong in what I did, how I was brought here, and that could probably rub off on the team. The likelihood of that is really small. I think Wolves know they're within boundaries. Personally, from what I've seen, I think they're in boundaries. I don't think they've done anything wrong. And again, from what the Wolves fans have been saying, I tend to agree. If that was the Villa, you would not have anyone moaning about how these players were brought in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, enough about off the field matters with essentially stuff we don't know any of the details of anyway, so we'll move on. Onto Wolves as a playing team and how they've performed this season. Have you seen much of them to assess what sort of style they'll play with on Saturday, or who their standout players are?
I mean, it's the names you get, isn't it? It's the Bonatinis, the Jotas,
Caballero.
Last year, Caballero, yeah, just tearing us apart. I think they're a real ball-playing team, complete opposite to what we are. I mean, we've got our playing style, they've got theirs. I think they're a complete shadow, aren't they, to what they were last year.
Yeah.
I think with what we've got, we can nullify them. And Fulham have shown it. I think Villa and Fulham, in really weird ways, and you're either going to agree or disagree with me here, are quite similar teams. They've got fairly, same kind of players, the big goal scorers up front, Mitrovic, Graben. Your centre mids, Kearney, Hourahan, you know what I mean? So if they can do it, there's no reason we can't. But they will cause a lot of problems. I mean, they've got a lot of pace, they've got a lot of ball carrying midfielders. But again, I don't see that as anything we can't deal with. I mean, let's be frank, we're not playing Man City here, we're playing Wolverhampton Wanderers, and they're not going to be overly a challenge. They're going to be a challenge on the day, but they're not someone we should be looking at and thinking, Christ, we're going to get turned over here. We should be going into every game now with sky-high confidence. We've got, I think, 1 in 9. We should be thinking we can get points anywhere, and especially playing at home. I think we can. I mean, if you offer me a point now, I'd take it.
I was going to ask you, actually, if you were offered a point, what would you do? So I thought exactly the same thing earlier. Right now, I think I probably would take the point. But I'd also argue that sitting in third, if you do want to get automatic promotion, if you're playing Wolves who are in a slight dip of form at home, is it a must-win game?
As far as automatic promotion goes, yes. As far as cementing ourselves in the playoffs goes, no. I think we are pretty much almost guaranteed a playoff point. I mean, nine games, and we've got a point gap between us and 7th of about 9 points. We're going to get the playoffs, but I think if we lose Saturday and we subsequently lose on Tuesday, that's it for us. That's it for top 2. You can probably narrow it down then to Fulham and Cardiff. I think, personally, I think Fulham will take it because I can't see a team that will stop them at the moment. But yeah, I'd take a point right now. I would not have any, and I think you'd be hard stretched to find a Villa fan that would moan at a point against Wolves now. And fun fact for you here: if we do get a point from them this season, I think if we draw on Saturday and we don't lose to Cardiff for 2 years in a row, no team has won reverse fixtures against us. So. That's your little fact bite of the day for me.
Thanks for a little fact there. The concept of a must-win game is a little bit of a difficult one, really, isn't it? Because we could lose against Wolves and then still end up getting top 2 anyway. So you can't define the rest of the season on one game. You could lose to Wolves and then win the next 8 or however many's left. But if you're going game by game, you do think that if we've got any chance of top 2, Wolves coming to Villa Park, you've got to do everything you can to win, which is what we will do. We're not going to go out there to play for a point. I wouldn't have thought. So it just depends what Villa and what Wolves teams turn up on the day.
I think going back to it, I think the whole mentality of the team now, I don't think they're a team that will go out and think, hey, we're just going to sit back and play for a point. I mean,
you're not at home.
Not at home, definitely not at home. I think you look at the whole togetherness of the team. They don't look like a team that will go, we'll just play for a point. They'll either go out and try and win by 1 or 2, maybe 3, I can't see us putting 3 past Wolves, or they're going to go all out and Wolves are going to beat us. But I'd rather see us go all out, try and win the game, lose 1 or 2-0, than a sit back, play boring all game and get a 0-0 or 1-1 thanks to like a deflection or something. I mean, that's just me. But
do you really think so?
Yeah.
Because for me, though, like you say, if we go all out and lose 2-0, or we sit back and get a point, surely you'd rather take the point now. Regardless of how you played, you've got a point against Wolves in the push for promotion. Surely that's better than having an exciting 2-0 defeat.
I mean, if we talk in the fact of how the team plays, okay, let me explain myself. How the team plays, I'd rather see us go out and go, well, obviously any fan would.
Yeah.
In terms of the score, if it was a draw, I'd be happy, as long as they look like they're trying to win the game, not like they're trying to sit back. If they've gone all out and they've drawn, I'm happy. But if they've gone into it negative and they've thought, we're not really up for this, and the drew, I think I'll be a bit disappointed.
Does that really matter, though, at this stage?
No, it doesn't matter. But, at this, like you said, at this stage of the season, you want to see the team going all out, trying to pick up maximum points everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just my point of view.
One thing I want to touch on, I don't think we really need to go into a full starting 11 prediction because we're pretty much going to play, you'd think, the same sort of team. The only one contentious spot is Whelan missing out. So who comes in for Whelan now? Is it somebody like Jedinak to shore things up, or is it, to be honest, and somebody who's going to play a little bit more?
It's I'd say like for like, but I personally think Whelan and Jedinak are two completely different players. I mean, I think Jedinak's got a bit of the bite. He'll be up for it. He'll know what this kind of game means. Well, not to us, but in terms of our situation. I think the whole Bjarnason being dropped again, I think that's a bit out of order, but you need someone like Jedinak in the midfield, someone who won't be afraid just to leave something in on a player. But I don't think Bjarnason is that type of player. But I can definitely see Jedinak playing. I can see him making that position his own now for the rest of the season. Again, Grealish and Adoma hopefully be starting. I think the other contentious position is Grabban and or Hogan. How they're going to fit in. I mean, from what I saw on Tuesday night, they work pretty well off each other. So I think Hogan's got the work rate, and I think Grabban's more of the fox in the box. But I do think they complement themselves really well. And obviously, with Codger coming back into full training, it really throws a spanner in the works. And I think once we've got him kind of at match fitness, he can go on the bench. And I think we can really start to think what we can get out of the season. So
obviously Bjarnason missed out for the Birmingham derby in favour of Jedinak, which worked perfectly for that game. So I think I understand the points of your reasoning for picking Jedinak, someone who's going to leave a bit of a foot somewhere and have a bit of bite and be up for it, like you say. But I think that Bjarnason's probably more suited to play against somebody like Wolves, who are going to come to us and play rather than go long from the defence every time. They're going to want to play it around, pass it forward. I think we're going to need the legs of Bjarnason more so than the brawn of somebody like Jedinak.
I do agree with him. I think what you're trying to say is Bjarnason's more of the footballer, the actual footballer, compared to Jedinak, who is kind of like the guardian. And I can see where you're coming from. I think he probably offers something Wolves wouldn't expect from us as terms of going forward. He's a real full player, and Jedinak's kind of like the sweeper. So yeah. I mean, it's a good shout.
There's pros and cons to both player. That's why you have a squad like this to chop and change it where you need to. I just think, I don't know whether it's more so that Bjarnason's more of a footballer than Jedinak. I just think that in this game, I think it's because I think Jedinak will be able to stop Wolves more effectively than Bjarnason would do, but I think he'll need more legs to chase people. I think we'll need to do a lot of chasing in midfield. So I think somebody like Bjarnason and Horahan to drop back and do the bits they need to do will be more beneficial than having just Jedinak sat back on his own.
I think the one spanner in the works I'd like to see is Lansbury come on again, because he's the bit of a you-know-what in midfield, and word I can't say on air, and he will really drive the ball forward, get stuck in. I think in these kind of games, Wolves wouldn't expect that. Wolves wouldn't expect us to come out with a bit of bite. I think they're expecting us to be quite timid. I can't lie. And if we play these type of players who, like I said, just leave something in on a player, they'll probably think, we don't want to mess here, and they'll sit back. I think, but it's going to be the first 5 or 10 minutes of the game. We'll really see what players we will need, and I think if the game's going one way, he might take Jedinak off for Bjarnason, and if it's going the other way, he might swap Bjarnason off for Jedinak. So I think it's just something. I think either way the game gets played out, after 20, 25 minutes in, you'll see which player we really need in that position. I find this whole mind the gap thing really strange. I do find it really strange. That's like Walsall suddenly. I mean, I've got nothing. I like Walsall as a club. I've got friends that work there, and I've got links to that club. I like them, but just for the terms of this argument, that's like Walsall suddenly singing "It's on the Villa." It makes no sense. I do find it quite funny because for God knows how long they have not been bothered about us.
I know.
The way I've always seen it is Wolves and Villa kind of understand each other on Birmingham and Albion, suddenly piping up. And all of a sudden, it's like, your next door neighbour's stabbed you in the back and he's ran off with your missus. Like, that's the only way I can put it. But it's really strange. I see a lot of Wolves fans who also think, it's a bit weird, just concentrate on yourselves. But then you've got like Barry, 62 from Tipton, who's got Mind the Gap as his Twitter account. I just think why. I do think if that was Villa in their position, I can say 99% certainty you would not get the same level of reaction as what's going on right now. I don't mind Wolves. I'm happy for where you are. If I had it my way, I'd have all the Birmingham teams in the Premier League because I think Midlands football gets overlooked. The BBC thinks only London and Manchester teams play football. I'm happy for you. I hope you go to the Premier League and do well, and you put Midlands football back on the map because that's what all the teams deserve. That's what Midlands deserve, a team that can think they're doing well. But, just give it a rest. We
were talking beforehand, and if we beat Wolves, I think the gap to them goes down to like 7 points. I'm sure at one point we were like 15, 16 points behind them. So all this mind the gap thing, the gap's getting smaller. Like you said, if we were top and they were third and we were 10 points ahead or whatever, I wouldn't give Wolves a single thought. I wouldn't care anything about them.
I think what it is, I think the Villa fans who go back to the Wolves fans about this are kind of on the wind-up. They know they're really like... I mean, this is the best way. Villa, just picture them as like a man. At Wolves are like a nippy little dog, just keep going up them at their ankles, which won't shut up. You don't care it's there. You just want it to be quiet for a minute and just leave you alone for a second. That's the best analogy I can put it. So
I'll move on from our little mind the gap debate there. Prediction for tomorrow. Is this gap going to get smaller between Villa and Wolves?
No. And again, I can't wait till this gets clips and memes around Wolves Twitter. I think we'll put a good game to them. I think we'll put a really good game to them because last season they didn't play us off the park. We really held our own. At the moment, I'd take a 1-1. Realistically, I think it will be 2-1 to Wolves. But I think, my head says Wolves, my heart says we could really nick something here. I think for them, Bonatini will score. And for us, I think Snodgrass will grab in the first goal scorer. Yeah,
I think there's definitely a head v heart debate going on. I think there's a possibility that the two good sides cancel each other out and it becomes a draw. We maybe bring it down a notch and turn it into a bit of a scrap, possibly nick it. Don't see either team dominating the other too much. I can't see a 2 or 3-0 either way. I'm gonna go 2-1 Villa just to try and be a little bit positive, but I think a draw is probably the most likely outcome.
You see when we played them their place, only because of our injuries we had at the time, they played us off the park, and I think we've got kind of our full strength team now. We'll put a game to them.
Thank you very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like as always. Subscribe to the Villa View with your post notifications on to keep up to date with all our latest content. As I said in the last preview, there was no podcast this week. However, we did upload the Ian Taylor interview that we recorded last year as an audio-only podcast, which is available on SoundCloud and iTunes. So if you missed that, you can listen to that now. Leave your predictions for the game tomorrow in the comments section below, as always. We read every single comment on the Villa View. We would like to reply to some more, but obviously, a lot of comments come through and we don't always have the time to reply, but we do read every single one. So thanks for all your support, as always. Fan cams will be recorded after the game tomorrow, where hopefully we'll be talking about 3 points for Aston Villa and a step closer to automatic promotion. We'll have another special guest who will be presenting the fan cams tomorrow, which will be James Rushton, who some of you might know from 7500 to Holt, and also the presenter of the Holtcast podcast. So thanks to James for stepping in for tomorrow, and obviously thanks once again to Max for joining me tonight on this preview. Thanks for watching. Up the Villa.
If you enjoyed that video, why not watch another? Click the video choices on screen now to go and watch them in full. Be sure to subscribe to the channel by clicking our logo there on the left. Easy peasy.